It isn't a war room strategy.
Okay.
It isn't this crisis group that comes together.
SHEIN has been under the microscope a lot. Fast fashion, sustainability. When a scandal hits, is there a war room?
Yes, there are mistakes, opportunities to do better. We as a team, we correct misperceptions.
Welcome to a special edition of the EVOLVE Voices podcast, Evolve at Shop Talk. And unfortunately for Vegas, those fascinating stories behind the people that power global commerce we talk about, they don't stay in Vegas. This is raw, unfiltered, in the moment. I'm Edilsa, a brand advisor, and the US host of EVOLVE Voices. On to today's story of pivots. I sit down with Peter Pernot-Day, a former attorney turned global strategist shaping the future of fashion retail at SHEIN. How does a lawyer end up leading cross-functional teams in customer experience at one of the world's most disruptive retail companies? For Peter, that answer lies in adaptability, curiosity, and a deep belief in the power of collaboration. From advising at BNP Paribas to driving analytics at Mixpanel to navigating global strategy at SHEIN, Peter's career, it defies easy labels. In this episode, we dive into how open water swimming keeps him grounded, what it takes to lead through scandals, and why the best career moves, they often begin with asking better questions. Peter's story is a reminder that leadership today isn't about staying in your lane. It's about learning how to switch lanes with purpose.
Hi, so excited to have you here. I saw you in the hallway. I've been the creepy one. I remember everyone that I'm really good at facial recognition.
Yeah.
And yesterday I was like, that's Peter. But it's going to be creepy if I go up to him. So let me just wait until today. You were on a mission.
Yeah.
Because Shop Talk is. One of the things as I was like looking through your profile is you're an open water swimmer.
That's right.
As I was looking, I was like, man, you do this. And what got you into it? What made you fall in love?
So I started swimming when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
And I swam competitively through most of my youth and in college. And then after college, I stopped swimming. And I met some folks when I was a little bit older in my early 30s.
Yep.
And I thought, hey, let's find a community, and open water swimming sort of formed that community for me. And it's been a real opportunity to do something that's fun. It's a little bit dangerous, a little bit exciting. You get to travel around and meet new people, try new swims. So I've really enjoyed it.
How do you find the community of open water swimmers? Is it?
I'm really, really fortunate to live in San Francisco for that reason.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
There is a club in San Francisco called the South End Rowing Club. It's founded in 1873. And in addition to rowing, they have a huge open water swimming program in the San Francisco Bay. And there's just a community of very fun, very interesting, some would say crazy people. And we go out and swim all over the San Francisco Bay and all over the world. So
that is so fun. I think it's so important to find that kind of activity, especially with everything you do. You said it gets dangerous sometimes.
It can.
Yeah, is there an experience that you had at one point that it was just like a little dicey? Like you're just...
I've been really lucky.
Okay.
I'm kind of a cautious person by nature. But, I have friends who've seen some heavier situations. And I think, that's the best part about being with a group is you're always stronger with your team. And I think, the South End takes that real seriously, and they're really, really talented swimmers there. So it's a great place to.
How do you fit that in with your busy work, kids, family, wife? Like, how do you fit that all in to to make space for it? Is it like on a Sunday?
So it's not as often as I would like.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to find time for yourself.
Yeah.
And those moments, where it used to be, let's say I'd swim for several hours. Now if it's just 20 minutes or 30 minutes, that can be enough. And I'm really grateful to have a family. I've got 3 small children, so being with them has replaced a lot of the energy that I got from those epic swims. But it's been great, But I still try to find those moments when I can.
Yeah, for me, the tool for clarity and lessons is always walking. I'm a huge, I live in San Diego now, originally from New York. And
there's great open water swimming in San Diego.
Is there?
Yeah.
I need to get that under my wing. And so, and La Jolla Cove with the seals.
Oh yeah.
Even better. Yeah.
Seals swimming around down there.
Yeah. And so I use walks a lot to get that open, that clarity when ideas are sparked for me and I get into a rhythm. Does swimming do that for you, or is it something else?
I think that inspiration and clarity can come at any time.
Yeah, cool.
I describe it as more of an orientation. You could be in the shower, you could be having a walk, you could be having a swim, you could be riding the bus. I mean, it's very different. And in my life and in my leadership, I try to be open to experience. I call it asking questions or being curious. I think you have to be curious about yourself. Like, what am I working on? What am I challenged by? What is this blocker I think is immovable? Some people call it eating the frog.
Eating the frog, yeah.
And those moments of clarity can come at any time, as long as you're open to them.
Yeah, you have to create the space, whether it's physical or in your mental space for it. Yeah. I love that. And it can happen anywhere. I think one of the things, as you were talking, turbulent waters, is SHEIN has been under the microscope a lot. Fast fashion, sustainability. But I'm more curious about how you handle that. When a scandal hits, is there do you guys have a war room that you sit in and talk about it and how to handle it? How does that look like in the day-to-day?
So the best part of my job are the people I work with.
Yeah,
we have some of the most talented public affairs, public relations, brand PR people, and we also have a really, really talented leadership team. And I think
you included.
Well, maybe I'm the least talented, but I think that as we as a team address these challenges, we address questions about our business, we correct misperceptions, we try to look at what we do well, we try to look at what we don't do well, and move the business towards being even more customer focused.
Yeah.
I'm just impressed every day about how well we handle that.
I love that.
It isn't like a war room strategy. There isn't like this, crisis group that comes together. I mean, that can happen.
Of course.
But I think as a team, we're just committed to that vision of letting our customers feel confident in the clothes that they buy, letting them understand how powerful it is to experience fashion and self-expression.
Yeah.
And that motivates all of us to communicate about the business. And yes, there are mistakes that we'll make.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yes, there are opportunities to do better. And we embrace that as a team. And that is what I love about SHEIN.
Yeah, I love that. It seems like there's an everyday. It's not like the DNA is built to solution and problem, which I think is so important. That prepares you for anything, for the highs and the lows of any day. Because I feel like some people talk about strategy in the sense of when mistakes hit, but it's also when there's a high, which I love. And for one of the things that I saw was you built together as a team, Evolution Roadmap. And I always think those are big endeavors. I was part of big ones at launching Prime Day for Shop Off, for Prime. Those take big things, teamwork that you talk about, leadership. For you, how does that feel in the moment building it? I'm sure it's not a small feat.
I think that, and this from launching big projects, is there is no one driver. It takes, a village maybe, or a team to really accomplish these things. And they're different voices, there are disagreements, there's opportunities to revise and enhance and ideate. All of that process, that work, if you will, is really, really critical to forging the best ideas. And I think for me, when I'm looking at companies or teams, I want to understand, is that team committed to that kind of work? Do they really want to do the labor to achieve a great result? And what impresses me so much about SHEIN is, whether it's our global head of government relations, Leonard Lin in Singapore, or Donald Tang, our executive chairman, or Sky, our CEO, and the teams that they lead and the vision that they set for sustainability and for our Evolution Roadmap, they're so committed to making it happen and doing that deep work. And I think that's what motivates me. It's not a greenwashing effort. It's not, let's just do this and hope nobody notices. It's really, let's orient the business to be where our customers are. They want responsibly made clothes.
I love that word committed, because that's so hard to put into the everyday fabric of a company. What does that look like? Is it in your values? Is it, in having a stand-up meeting? What does that look like on a day-to-day?
I think that for SHEIN, it really starts with Sky and our four co-founders. And Sky and that team, SHEIN is their baby, and that value of being customer focused, of being one team, of working together to solve problems, of being innovative, all of those values permeate them, they live them, and then it permeates the team.
Yeah.
And I think that's really motivating. And so, for me as kind of a part of that leadership structure, it's easy to carry forward
because top down.
It permeates the whole company.
Yeah.
And I think that's our goal, is to try to live those values out, to really be empathetic to our customers, to really try to unite teams, to break down barriers, to find solutions, drive those things forward. All it's part of our DNA as a company.
Yeah. Was there a moment when you were building the roadmap that you were just, there was, oh shoot, this is not coming together? Or did you just accept that there were iterations as things went along?
So I think as a leader, I try to keep two levels of abstraction in mind. So there's the sort of immediate level, like this is a crisis of the moment.
Yeah.
And then there's the sort of overarching view, like this is where we're headed. This is the goal.
Yeah.
And so that second part, that goal part, I never had any doubt. I knew that this is where we're going. I knew we were doing a lot of these things, and it was just a matter of articulating them. But when you're in the weeds on a particular, it's like, okay, this is not going. We're not getting agreement on this aspect or
anything.
And that's totally normal. It's much more manageable, I think, if you have that broader view at the same time. So keeping things in perspective. Really
and
helps.
Everyone knows that broader view. If you're committed to, I think that's when being in teams, when they feel like there's not a North Star is when things deviate. So I love that call of the broader goal, because constantly reminding this is what we want. We want to keep our customers happy. We want to deliver on what they need. I think that holds that compass, that these micro decisions might change, but the macro stays the same at any point, which I love. You're a lawyer by training.
That's right. Guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged. And I thought that was so interesting. I interviewed a Navy man the other day who's in digital, and I was like, how did you end here? How does a lawyer end up in customer experience? Was it that SHEIN came up to you and was like, hey, we think you'd be great at this? Or were you like, I'm looking to expand my skill set in a different way?
So it's a really interesting story.
Yeah,
so
I love that.
I've spent most of my career representing technology companies and cutting edge technologies, including digital marketing. And, I had a number of leadership roles at an in-house level, both at a major bank, but then also at a technology company that works in the digital space. And SHEIN approached me to take over their privacy program. And I was the chief privacy officer.
Makes sense. Worth the risk.
I took on this role, and I did that for about a year. I loved it. We had a great team. We were scaling the team. We were accomplishing a lot. I mean, there's, privacy is an ever-changing area of law, and there's lots of stuff in that space. Yeah. And our CEO Sky reached out to me, and he's like, "Hey, you've been doing well in this role. You've got a good sort of transversal, cross-functional view of the company. How would you feel about taking on a slightly different role and moving into some more strategic projects?"
I love that.
And at first I was a little hesitant. I'm kind of cautious by nature, but we talked about it. I talked to Donald Tang about it quite a bit. He's our executive chairman. Really a great leader. And Donald in particular was like, "Look, this is a role that I think your skill set would be good at. You may have an untapped potential." Like, looking at your biography.
Wow. So they saw I think that's the best part of leadership, right?
Yeah.
When they see more.
Yeah. So, I mean, I attribute that 100% to Sky and to Donald's leadership. And they asked me to do this, and, I've been doing it now, and I absolutely love it. I kind of sometimes kick myself, like, how come I didn't figure this out earlier?
That's
in my
amazing.
Career? But it's been great.
And somebody else had to spot it. But I think what you didn't notice about yourself then is you were showing that transversal skill set. Like, how are you doing that for somebody who's like trying to make that leap? How could they do that on the day-to-day? Is it like showing up and really getting to know the business 360? Like, how do you think you were showing it, that people saw that?
I don't know if I have the answer for everybody.
I
can share what I did.
Yeah, I would love that.
But my journey to this role was really, I think, driven by curiosity.
Yeah.
When I approached my legal practice, when I approached my clients, I really wanted to understand how their businesses functioned. I wanted to understand how the challenges that I was asked to help resolve occurred, and really get down to
the brass,
the marrow of something.
Yeah.
And I think that skill set is applicable to business leadership. It's what are we doing? Why are we doing it? What are our challenges? And really asking those questions in an open way, a way that really wants to get to the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
And the best part about SHEIN is that it's open to that kind of engagement. But I think it's translated well, I hope it's translated well to my current role.
That's amazing, and I love knowing that piece as somebody who's taken on different roles and expanded their skill set. That's so important to know how you get there. But I think the most important part is having people also looking out for you and knowing the untapped potential. Yeah. You said you would have wanted to get there sooner, right? Yeah. Like, is that a regret, or is that like now it's like, okay, hindsight is 20/20?
Hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah.
And I don't have regrets.
Yeah, good.
I'm really, really grateful for the legal experience I had. They made me who I am today.
Yeah.
I'm really, really grateful for the relationships I built, the victories I had, and the defeats I had.
Yeah.
So, it's easy to look back and be like, man, I should have been doing something different.
Yeah.
But maybe I wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Where does your legal training show up, you think, in this customer experience role? Talk about how maybe it's risk taking, or how does it show up?
Well, I'm really, really good at nitpicking grammar. So if you got copy,
I'm gonna.
You want to know how to use the M dash.
I love that. I love that. It's insistence up to highest standards in that regard. Yeah.
I think the other way that it shows up is I think there's a degree of sort of hesitance, maybe, of taking a pause of like, do we need to do this right now? Can we think about this? Can we slow down? Let's really think through issues. Yeah. And that can be good and bad.
Yeah.
There are times when there isn't time and you just need to react. You have the muscle memory and judgment to react correctly. Yeah. But I think there are times when decisions can be made in haste, and slowing them down and giving them a process, which lawyers love process.
Yeah.
That is actually quite useful to making better decisions.
Yeah. Was there ever a time that people were like, well, you wouldn't know that. You're a lawyer by training.
People say that to me all the time, and they're probably right. And I'm like, great, I don't know. Let's talk about it. You can teach me.
I love that. Yes, I love that. It's the curiosity you talked about, the willingness to learn. And if you're showing that all the time and almost humble enough to show where you don't know, it makes you so much better at what you do every day. One of the things I love that you guys are tapping into is marketplaces. You're evolving into a marketplace platform, and that's the next big thing in e-commerce. That's come up a repeated theme as I talk to people here and before. How did you guys think about that? Was it like through customer learnings that how did you get there?
So the marketplace really evolved out of a desire to meet customer interests in a broader category. A broader list of categories. Yeah. And we do some things really, really well. Yeah. And there's some categories where we're not as strong and we don't ever intend to play in. Yeah. And we knew that if we created a curated shopping experience that combined our love of fashion, our love of beauty, and the technology that we bring to a platform and the audience that we bring and draw to that platform, that we could attract some brands that offer categories that we haven't traditionally offered our customers. And the feedback we've gotten from our customers is really positive. So we try to take a curated approach. We aren't striving to be the everything store. We're trying to give our shoppers access to categories that complement that core fashion, beauty, and lifestyle business, and it's been successful to date.
Is that what you think sets you apart right now from like what Amazon or eBay or those larger marketplaces are doing today?
I don't really spend a lot of time focused on others' business. My view is much more of what are our customers telling us, and the feedback we're getting from them is that it's positive. And we're seeing good growth signals. We're seeing improved customer retention and lifetime value rates go up. So that is much more validating than I think trying to understand others' businesses. And those are very successful businesses.
I love that.
But I'm really trying to focus.
Do you think that maybe is where some people go wrong? Is that they're focused on so much outside, they're not looking at their own customer signals, and it could be, could not.
I mean, I think that it's really easy to look at something in hindsight or look at something from the outside and see it seems obvious that this was the mistake that you made.
Yeah.
And obviously as a leader at any company, you're trying to make the best possible decision with the available information you have. You're going to make some mistakes. Yeah. And so I think that there's a natural impulse that we all have. Like, what is the root cause of this problem? Let's really get down to it so we don't make that mistake. Yeah. That's important. It plays a role. But I don't think that is really the focus. The focus should, in my view, should always be on the future. What do you do to move from where you are today to where you want to be tomorrow?
Yes.
What are the steps that you need to take to do that. And, maybe that is this postmortem.
Yep.
But more often than not, it's what do we do really well? What do our customers value about us? And how do we bring that forward? I think that's what we're trying to do every day at SHEIN.
I love that. I am a research analyst by training, which is really boring for other people.
It's super exciting.
I would
love to learn how to do hardcore. Like I'm like practicing on Excel so I can get all this
we
stuff.
can talk.
Yeah,
And one of the things yesterday, Simon Siegel from BMO, also an equity research analyst, talking about your point. I don't spend time explaining today. I spend time predicting the future, which I love. It's like today is your product of what you built 3-5 years ago, and that's what's happening. And so how do you do to predict what do you do to predict the future? Are you constantly looking at customer signals, like the macro environment? Like, how are you getting that done?
So a corporate strategist like myself isn't about predicting. A corporate strategist is about understanding a company's goals and organizing corporate resources to achieve those goals. And I think that's a key difference. Prediction is very, very important, and it's an input into that process. But it's much more of a, what do we have today, and what pieces of the puzzle can we put together today that will lead to the completion of the puzzle and achieve that goal. And I think that's why it's so important to have really committed executive leadership. And why I'm so grateful for Sky and Donald. It's that vision is clear for SHEIN. And it's focused on customers. And so we as strategists and my team and the teams that we support and all of the technology capability teams that we have, they're working to put together that puzzle to satisfy our customers.
And the puzzle is big. Like, I mean, as I think you guys have been at the forefront of a lot of trends. And I think as somebody who's been internally at both people who aren't at the innovation stand and are at the innovation, it's so exciting to be a team member where they're innovating. How does that feel for you to be at the forefront of so many things that are, breaking what customers want?
Well, first, thank you for that. I don't know that we're at the forefront or not. I think what we do well is we think really deeply about the customer experience. And we try to connect our customers as closely as we can to both our product catalog so they can find the looks that they love, but also we connect our designers to our customers so that they can get real-time feedback. So the clothes that we're making reflect what our customers actually want to wear. We call this the on-demand business model. And that process, I think, is really what has allowed us to thrive, and I think it will be the foundation for our future as we move forward.
I love it. I think you are putting so much into the future with, and it includes emerging designers, which I love what you guys are doing it with SHEIN.
Yeah, that's great.
And I know that's a personal passion project for you. What's the proudest moment or designer that you've seen that you're like proud of that is part of this incubator program?
So there's so many moments that come together. I think one of the moments that was really, really, I think, empowering for me was to see Kenya Freeman in the New York Times and see her looks featured, and to see someone of her talent and capability get noticed in that way and be able to launch that into a brand through the SHEIN incubator program was fantastic. I think another really strong signal for us was when Laura Kim and the Monse brand came on.
Monse,
and
huge.
I think Laura just intuitively got our mission. And the idea of bringing in new voices, new visions, sharing those with our customers and giving them an opportunity to build their brand. To have her validation and her willingness to participate in a program like that, to me, was just very, very rewarding.
I love that. Emerging designers is such an important part, whether it's unvoiced, and so seeing that kind of being pushed through and highlighted in so many different ways is huge. Why is it a passion project for you?
Well, I mean, I'm sort of a new vision, a new voice. I wouldn't be in this role, in a traditional sense. And SHEIN gave me a chance. And I've tried to do my best with it. I think that that sort of spirit of how do you find people that don't have those opportunities and give them an extraordinary opportunity and see what they can do. And I think that, to me, as a beneficiary of that myself, I want others to have that opportunity too.
Landing on Shop Talk and its point is for me, I have so many inputs for how I'm keeping track of trends and what you're in a company, you see that. You're seeing customer signals. I try to look outside of the industry all the time to get inspiration for what I'm doing.
So you're a really good analyst.
I analyze the crap out of everything. I love customers, and so like as I was going through what Shop Talk, I was thinking of the intention as what am I using it for, and a lot has been for conversation. I want to be talking a list of people that I wanted to talk to that I think are talking about marketplaces, creator economy, like things that I might not have done myself, but I want to know more because I'm curious. Is that how you, when you go to these conferences, approach it? Or is there something that's just like, you have to kind of walk through all the meetings that you have on the day?
So I think that it's a little bit of both. I'll share.
I love
some
intention.
of it is really structured and intentional. Like we try to have meetings and opportunities to chat with folks like yourself and other members of the media, talk to potential business partners, current business partners. But for me, the deepest value in Shop Talk as an event is the opportunities that I would call serendipity. It's just walking around, meeting people you had no idea you were going to meet.
Or seeing them and they don't know that you recognize them.
So next time you see me walking down the corridor, But I've had so many over the years that I've been coming to Shop Talk, so many of those conversations where it's just, wow, your perspective or your solution, maybe it leads to a business partnership, maybe it leads to a new way of doing business, or not. But just that idea of exchanging and being open to the talent that's here, the thoughtfulness that's here, that is the most rewarding part of it.
I love it. Where can people find more of you? I've loved reading through your posts and the sneaky things of your open water swimming, or really understanding the why of why you talk about the commitment of Donald and Sky. Where can people find you?
So I'm on LinkedIn. You can follow me on LinkedIn if you're interested. It's public profile, so please do so. I try to do podcasts and speak to the press, and I come to industry conferences that I can make. I have a relatively busy schedule, but try to do that as much as I can. I think they're important to be plugged into what's going on in the industry. And I'm open to suggestions. So if you've got a play and you want to talk to me or hear from me, please reach out, DM me, and love to talk to you.
He'd love to chat. Thank you, Peter, so much for being here, for making some time in your busy schedule. This was such a pleasure.
It was a real treat.
And I can't wait to see how things evolve over this conference. But more, I'll need to give you some tips on researching.
I can't wait.
Can't wait. Thank you so much.
Great. So this was another great episode. EVOLVE Voices is a podcast from EVOLVE Commerce Club, the #1 private community, where we connect senior commerce professionals in more than 40 markets. Every week, we invite one expert to share their perspective and their knowledge. If you want to know more about EVOLVE, look at the link in this episode description to request your invitation. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!